What's up, phone lovers? Welcome to the Mobile Roar podcast for the week of September 15th, 2016. I am Joe Fidua.
I am Chris Chavez.
And we don't have Ashley this week. But we do have a special guest this week. We have Nick Gray, who is a writer on Fandroid and various other websites. Hello, Nick.
How's it going?
Good. So we have lots to talk about this week. Nick was at IFA all last week. How was that, Nick?
IFA was amazing. I think I was going to talk about that a little bit later,
Okay.
but it was a fun show. I actually in about 2 decades, and Berlin was so much more than what I remember it to be. And that was probably one of the biggest highlights for me, is just being able to roam around the city of Berlin and take all that in. New tech.
For anyone that doesn't know, Nick actually lives in Italy, so the podcast has gone international.
We are international.
Officially international.
All right, so this week's top stories. We will start with Pixel. More Pixel rumors this week. Pixel Launcher leaked this week, and you can actually download it and install it on your phone. It's pretty easy to do. I have it on my G5, no problem. Have you guys been able to use it without any problems?
Yes.
Did you, Chris?
Yeah.
What are you making that sound for? You don't like it?
No.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it either, to be honest. But
Running
it does work.
I've been running it on my HTC 10 for a little over 24 hours now.
Is the
It's
swipe
okay.
thing? Is the swipe thing supposed to work when you swipe over and then it opens Google Now? Because that's not.
I don't think it's activated yet. With
Yeah.
the latest build that was leaked, so there's an option within settings to turn on launch Google when you swipe left.
Yeah.
The only thing that actually happens is it makes the Google logo from a little circle to kind of a pill that leaks into the side of the screen, but nothing happens when you swipe over. So I'm thinking there's probably a lot more functionality that Google has planned for this launcher that's not baked into it yet.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange because I've seen a lot of people say that, it can't do that swipe thing because it's not a system app. But the Google Now launcher, I mean, that you can download from the Play Store, that does it, and I don't think that's a system app because you can do that on any phone.
Yeah, I installed that on any phone, and it works. You swipe over to the left, and it's like, bloop, just it opens up Google Now.
So I
To
just
my
don't think they
knowledge, there's a couple
enabled
people
it.
to my knowledge, there's a couple people who have rooted devices that have installed it as a system app, and nothing changes when that's done.
Oh, well, yeah, there you go.
That's good to know. Just some of the changes. There's no app drawer icon. You swipe up on the dock to open the app drawer. Like you mentioned, the little Google tab. It also shows the date.
Persistent. Yeah, it never stops. You can't hear them that much.
Yeah, there's a persistent date across the top, and like a big date. Like not just a little date. I mean, it takes up like
Let me
3 or
show
4
you.
rows. Yeah, you can see it there. And the weird thing about that is tapping it does nothing. Like it doesn't even open the calendar.
Yeah.
And when you go in landscape mode, because the date shows, but then the day, so it usually says September 15th, Thursday, 2016. But when you go into landscape mode, Thursday, 2016 gets cut off. To believe there's still a lot of bugs.
Yep.
I saw something about like the calendar app, like the app icon will change according to like the app date, which is pretty nice. That's like how it is on iOS and some other UIs.
Yeah, that was
a lot of icon packs do that too.
If you do have the Google Calendar installed, it will change the date on it.
Interesting.
It will not change the date on the HTC calendar.
There's a circle around the calendar icon like that. They made it a little.
Yeah.
Weird
Yeah,
circle.
it's a white circle around it, which
Wait
is
a
really
minute, I
weird.
didn't notice that on mine.
That's how it
So
shows
how
on
come it's
mine.
only around the calendar and not like Google
Well,
Messages or?
okay, so this is what I heard from David Reddick, who I mean they had like the what was it like one of the leak builds from the Pixel or this and that is that supposedly rumor has it that Google is kind of trying to do that like circle icons for everything to make them all uniform.
Which is a horrible, horrible, horrible idea. Do not do that.
I
Very
hate it.
iOS-ish,
I hate it.
I guess. And we see that on other UIs or just icon packs and stuff. And I mean, some people dig that sort of thing, but I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's kind of, it's bad. And if it's just a Pixel thing, like on the Pixel launcher, but I wouldn't like to see Android as a whole like adopting that. It would be a really bad idea. Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm planning on buying the phone, but if that's what they're doing with the stock launcher, I will be installing the Google Now launcher and getting rid of that.
Yeah, that's how it is with it. Anytime there's some new leaked launcher for whatever, I'm gonna try it out, and I just always go right back to Nova. Like for the past 5 years now, it's like the same story.
I mean, I did the Pixel launcher too, and I did a video about it. And then as soon as I was done with the video, I went back to Nova launcher.
There you go.
I mean,
And so my question is though, like, does it really matter? I mean, everyone's used to what they're used to. Especially for Pixel phones or Nexus phones, everyone's always going to default to what they're typically used to. These are people who actually have tried out dozens of years and they know what they like. And just because it's, this is the new Google standard for what they want their launcher to be, doesn't mean people are going to stick with it. And honestly, there's no reason to complain if you're going to choose something else anyways.
Exactly. That's usually how I feel about any just third-party launcher in general. The ones that come on, like with the like EMUI launcher or the LG launcher, which doesn't have like an app drawer and all this. It's like, who cares? You're just going to install Nova. There's 100 different home screen replacements. It's not like it really matters. But
it matters for the normals. I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, and it does. And I keep forgetting that there are more and more normals each day and that outnumber us by the tens of millions. So,
filthy casuals.
The people who are like, what is a launcher?
Yeah.
And to put things into perspective for those listening to the podcast, if you are listening to an Android podcast, you are not a normal.
Yeah, you are definitely not. For one, you know what a podcast is. And for two, you're listening to an Android podcast.
I would say the Android podcast thing is what excludes them. Podcasts are pretty popular these days.
They are. But like if I, like my dad, someone, I don't know, 60s, like what's a podcast?
If I told my mom to listen to somebody's podcast, she'd be like, I don't what does that mean?
So is there anything else about the Pixel launcher that you guys want to mention? I think the folder thing, that was leaked a lot before. The folder looks different. That's not really a big deal. Actually, one thing
I like about the folders is when you have fewer than 4 apps in the folder, the alignment of the apps within the folder is so like it won't perfectly align them into a grid. So if you just put 2, it puts them side by side, and if it's 3, they're kind of in a triangle pattern.
Oh,
that's awesome!
So
I didn't notice that.
I've got one here. The one.
So is it just in the preview it does that? Like if you open the folder, are they in a grid?
So if you open the folder, they're in the grid. But when you're on the desktop, it shows. And if you take
I
one
like
out,
that. I can't wait till Nova implements.
So if you have 2, if you have 2 in there, they're actually a little bit larger as well. So it's a little bit more dynamic than what we've seen in the past, but still getting used to it.
I like it. I like that a lot.
One thing that I noticed that I didn't see a lot of people mention is the new wallpaper picker. There's an option to have it change the wallpaper daily. Like if you go into it, there's collections for like different types of wallpapers, and then if you go into one of those, you can choose switch daily, and that's kind of a neat thing. That's like, what was that app called that a lot of people use? Musee or Musei? Yeah, that could do stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. That the wallpaper chooser thing is just kind of like, what am I doing right now? Like before, I'm just used to having like a little row at the bottom, and you just tap them to see which one to preview, and then, but now it's all, I don't know, it's like a separate app, which I guess it is, but
Well,
kind
and
of
I'm curious to know where Google is sourcing. Well, it doesn't look like Google's sourcing all the wallpapers from the same place. So if you click on a wallpaper, it actually gives you details about the wallpaper. It tells you the photographer. Some of them are from 500px, some of them are from Google Plus, and it tells you some details, kind of like what it does on Chromecast when it's rotating through the wallpapers on Chromecast.
very much like that.
Interesting to see how they're going to implement this. Like, are they going to be changing on a regular basis? Are they just going to be rotating through and featuring 20 from each category? Or can you get into a category other than the 20 or so that are selected there? So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I'd also like to see them let you like create your own folder with like wallpapers and then have it rotate through the ones that you like, you know, like wallpapers that you've downloaded and stuff like that.
Yes.
That would be cool.
That'd be awesome.
All right, so keeping it in the new design thing, there's another leak / rumor. Actually, I don't think it was ever leaked. It was just a rumor that the home button, I think we talked about it before, there was going to like be like a colorful flower effect on the home button. Well, the new rumor is that it's not going to be that. It's going to be like a fully filled in circle, white circle with a white circle around that.
Mm-hmm. Like the folders, I guess, like the little circle.
Yeah. And I guess that's to make people like more aware that the Google Assistant is there. I know, Chris, you're going to complain about AMOLED burn-in with this new home button. I know you are.
I mean, I don't use too many AMOLED phones anymore. I'm kind of very, very anti-AMOLED right now. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of sort of seems like it could be an issue. I need to see this. I need to see all these different changes before I can make a really strong judgment. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's not too big of a thing. I mean, it's better than the flower thing that they were showing earlier.
Yeah, that was a little.
Yeah, that flower thing that they were showing earlier was a train wreck.
All right. So, is there anything else Pixel related that happened this week? I don't think so.
Some more leaks. I think there was over the weekend there was the 360-degree view of like a 3D render from OnLeaks.
Mm-hmm.
OnLeaks always, I mean, he always leaks these like 3D renders that are awesome, and then occasionally, I guess he'll take those like CAD files, those 3D files, and make them into some like animated thing, which he did. So that looked pretty cool. I mean, it looks a little. I feel like the phone's a little bit thick, a little bit thicker than I'd like, but it looks good. I don't know.
So
it was the dimensions of the phone were leaked, and it showed that the top of the phone was thicker than the bottom of the phone.
Yeah, that was a little weird part too, and I was thinking maybe it was because of the camera or something. Maybe
that's what I'm thinking as well.
Little camera hump somewhere up there at the top, but
everybody's got a camera hump these days.
Yeah, it's the thing.
Well, I think the camera actually looks like it sits flush, but it looks like maybe they've created kind of a slope design so that they can fit without having the camera pop out from the body of the phone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
But I mean, with those 360-degree renders, you couldn't really tell that it was that much thicker. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, and like it was probably like 0.5 millimeter thicker. But I could be wrong. But it wasn't a big difference, but noticeable.
I wonder if that's because like the top half is glass. Maybe they're doing like a 2.5D glass or something and kind of raises it a little bit, or I don't know.
So this is kind of embarrassing to ask because it's been so long. What are these phones actually called? Like I just keep saying Pixel, but there's two different phones.
Pixel and Pixel XL.
Pixel, yeah, and Pixel XL.
What was Pixel C?
So
like I kept saying Pixel C for a while.
That was the tablet that came out last year.
Been out for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was back when the Nexus 6P and Nexus 5X were announced. They like also were like, oh, we got the Pixel C, this new tablet, with the keyboard, that like slides out and does all that stuff.
Why don't I remember that being called the Pixel C? I'm so
Because
I don't know.
nobody bought it and nobody cares.
Yeah, it was very, I don't know, it was weird. And then they were doing like this.
What was it priced at? $5.99
Yeah.
or $4.99?
Had like some sort of incentive for developers and stuff to get like $50 off for a little bit there. And it was just, yeah, I don't think it sold very well. But for whatever reason, I guess that was sort of like the transition. Like even then, people were like, "Why are they calling this tablet the Pixel C? Why aren't they calling it like Nexus, a Nexus C, or a Nexus Tab something?" That was kind of a little bit odd,
that
too.
was.
Because at that point, Pixel just was all Chrome stuff.
Yep.
All the Chromebook, or that little fancy Chromebook they had. So yeah, that was a little bit weird.
Well, and I think they're trying to, with the Pixel brand, it's kind of, these are the devices that we're making for ourselves. And we know that HTC is making Pixel phones. But I think maybe the relationship that they have with HTC is a little bit different than what they've had with other Nexus manufacturers over the years. What we've seen in the past has been more of a collaboration between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the Pixel phones, the Pixel and the Pixel XL, it's mainly, this is what we want you to build the phones to. This is our spec. You build it for us. And HTC is going back to what they used to do for everybody. I mean, HTC used to make phones for Palm. They used to make phones for Sony. And this would simply be, a phone for Google. And they're making it, but it has, no correlation back to HTC besides it's made in one of their factories.
Yeah.
So it probably won't even have the HTC logo anywhere.
Yeah, don't think so.
I
didn't hear any words.
We saw the FCC documents for it already, and they clearly label, HTC is clearly labeled in there, but I don't think HTC is going to be on any of the packaging or on the back of the phone.
Yeah, it's going to be very subtle. More subtle than like it already was for like the Nexus stuff.
All right, so moving on from the Pixel, we have some Apple stuff. Sorry, guys. Got to talk about Apple a little bit. iOS 10 is now available, and it's off to a rocky start. Isn't this the story like every iOS release? It's like iOS, whatever is available, go download it. 5 minutes later. Yeah. iOS 10 buggy, don't download it. Hold on,
Wait for 10.0.1 or 0.0.1.1. Like it, I mean, and it's kind of the same is true for Android. We see it kind of usually every year too. It's just like that first build. It's like, oh crap, it broke some things. Let's patch this up real quick. But it's off to a rocky start apparently. Bricking.
I mean, have they identified yet specifically what's causing people's phones to brick?
That I'm not sure exactly what. Yeah, I don't know if they ever pinpointed exactly what was going on. I know T-Mobile just said today that they found a new bug exclusively with devices on their network, or iPhones on their network. So they're saying wait for another update because even if everything went fine and you update it to 10.0, it might like not do so well on their network. So now they're saying to wait because Apple's going to release another update to patch that up. So it's always.
Yeah, for me, I had no clue that the update was coming until I hit Twitter and everyone was like dying because don't download the update. It just killed my phone. And I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to see because, I mean, with the people that we follow on social media and what their involvement is, we always see the escalation of things more than regular people do. Right. So the fact that everyone's like, the world is on fire, I'm like, 7. I don't know. Maybe it's not your iPhone's problem.
I mean, it didn't help that it happened to MKBHD, who has, I mean, like hundreds.
Oh, it did happen to him. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, and he was just like, yeah, you might not want to do the update right now. And he just had a picture of like his phone, like bricked or whatever.
That's bad publicity.
Oh yeah, it got like 2,700 likes and like 5,000 retweets, and I mean, it's just that's very
honestly, Apple doesn't get like. They should get a harder time for this because, like you said, maybe an Android update will come out and it's a little buggy, but like I've never had one brick a phone or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel like was it Nougat? I feel like a couple of maybe it wasn't, but I mean, it's just I feel like we hear about this a lot, and it's just you would think that Apple would I don't know, people would sue them or something, because I mean, having your phone go completely out of commission, that's not a good thing. It's like a few bugs, like you said, is one thing. But like,
I mean, usually Apple is able to that they can download through iTunes and install and bring it back to life, but you have to wait for that to happen.
True.
So I don't think Apple's ever pushed out anything that's completely bricked someone's phone. It's a temporary brick, and you might be out of a device for a week or so until you get it, until they roll out the update.
And I mean, like,
but I mean, with Android, things are different. I mean, because we have the updates that every manufacturer pushes out separately, and then every manufacturer on every service provider pushes out separately. It's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, you could do the same thing with like a Nexus device and just flash the system images and start over again. But like regular people don't know how to do that. And Apple, it's essentially the same thing, but you're doing it through iTunes, and it's just a lot.
It's way easier.
Yeah, a lot more user friendly.
All right, so just to remind everyone, if you are watching this live, we do have a live chat going on YouTube, and we just someone wants us to talk about the iPhone porn, which actually was the next thing I was going to mention. So one of the new features in iMessage in iOS 10 is you can share GIFs, and people are like finding like some pretty raunchy, hardcore porn GIFs in iMessage, and it's a pretty big deal. Like, they already disabled, you can't search for butt anymore.
Yeah, they got rid of because they were showing freaking My Little Pony porn that people are drawing up, which is just disgusting, regardless. But they had to like cut out some of the keywords. I guess because they're sourcing their GIFs from Giphy, and Giphy doesn't have any censors or anything on that, so it's you can search for anything on Giphy, and you can pull up all kinds of like XXX rated things. So I guess they had like overlooked a few.
I mean, things like this are bound to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you're referencing a service that's on the internet. The same could be said. Oh my gosh, the browser within the iPhone surfaces porn.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, apps have gotten like removed from the Play Store for stuff like that, or not the Play Store, the iTunes Store, and actually I think the Play Store too. Wasn't there like a Reddit app that was removed once because of something like that?
I think it was like initially
but
when Reddit, like, they changed their terms of service or something, the way they do not suitable for work content and stuff. But like, I mean, there was a lot of talk when people were like, well, why would they remove that when they have internet browsers, and people use internet browsers to look up porn and this and that. So
I think Apple dropped the ball on this, though.
500px got dropped a couple times because of that.
Yeah. Which is
so I just went to so Twitter you can search for GIFs on Twitter, you can search for GIFs on Facebook Messenger, and I just went to both and just straight up put porn in the search thing, and like none of that stuff comes up. So like, what is Twitter and Facebook doing to like stop that? Like, Apple clearly
if you search porn, so like other services like Instagram and things like that will block those out as well. But
I'm putting every word, like I put butt in here, like I'm putting all of these words.
What are you putting in?
People are reporting.
What are you putting in, Joe?
Can't say it on this podcast because I don't want it to get flagged. But I'm putting all these words in it.
So what you need to do is search for something that you know is porn related. So like if you know a certain movie that has pornography in it, it has to be something more common that they wouldn't be blocking for specifically.
Pacific Rim.
So
on Instagram
they said they blocked the word butt. I mean, that's pretty non-specific.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on Instagram and stuff, they block
those
too.
That's a body part.
Yeah, and I mean, people always have workarounds because people will like put, instead of butt with 2 T's, they'll put like butt with 3 T's, and then that's what you search for, and you find all the good.
Chris knows all about this.
I know all about the butt. I'm Butts Tumblrman. I'm good at this stuff. I'm good at finding butts online. But yeah,
moving on.
Yeah, let's not talk about butts.
It makes me regret ever sharing a room with you, Chris.
Yeah, I had to share a room with Chris at CES last year. I'm never doing that again.
Jeez. This is so harsh.
I shared a room with Chris at CES. What was it, like 6 years ago? 5 years ago? I can't remember. It's been a long time.
1998 or something.
Shut off the new Walkman. All right, so
this was.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
I was just gonna change topics. Get into some of our quick hits here. So, new Amazon Dot, $50. Who's buying it?
What's the difference between the old Dot? I honestly thought when I saw the headlines that this was just like they just discounted the Dot or something. Like what is it? I don't get it.
It's a Dot.
it's a Amazon. What is it? What did they call their assistant?
Alexa.
Alexa. So it's an Alexa powered mini speaker for $50.
Well, this is the one that you have to hook up to a speaker.
Oh, what?
Yeah. It's just like the Alexa functionality, and then you plug it into one of your existing feature or speakers, and then it's like having an Amazon Echo.
Oh,
so it's a Wi-Fi connected, not even a speaker. It's a Wi-Fi connected microphone.
Oh, this whole time I never knew what a freaking
it's literally
Dot was.
Just like the top part of the Amazon Echo.
the brains of it, I guess.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
But
I mean, technically, if you put a microphone on the Chromecast audio, same thing. I mean, the hardware on the inside shouldn't be much different.
Yeah.
Yeah, just doing search terms through voice. I wonder how well these work. I mean, I like the idea of being able to just ask for things and pull up but I've never. It just seems so unintuitive to me. Like I need to see it on a screen and tap buttons, and I just can't speak things into existence. It's just weird.
The thing that kills it for me, and like we've talked about it on the podcast before, is there's not much Google integration with the Echo. Just waiting for that Google Home or whatever it was called that was announced like 5 years ago. Seems like
5 years ago.
It's still in the works.
Honestly, that's what I'm waiting for as well.
I mean,
no reason to buy this, so
we have not heard a peep about that thing since I/O.
Yeah, that's kind of weird,
they
huh?
said later in the year. I mean, they're having a Pixel event supposedly.
That's true.
What is it, October 4th? So I'm assuming in 2.5 weeks we will hear something about it.
Yeah, the Home, the Pixels, and then the new smartwatches that they are rumored to be working on too. But my thing with the voice control stuff is what do you say that you? I don't know. I just can't think of anything to ever have to ask my a voice assistant. It's kind of weird to me.
Even I mean, it's people use it a lot for the home automation stuff, like Alexa, turn on the lights and blah blah blah, or stuff like that.
I could see that.
Alexa, cool. Start playing Rolling Stones or something like that.
Even then, I don't want to hear my favorite music. I don't want to hear like any song from an artist. Usually, I want to hear a specific song or maybe a playlist or something. Yeah.
I don't know. It does have Spotify integration, I think so.
But doesn't Google Now allow you to do specific playlists from Google Play Music?
Good question.
I don't think it works with playlists because I have some playlists that I've created and then I've told it play emo hits and it doesn't ever do it right. It just starts searching for artists named emo something and it's just kind of dumb. But yeah, it doesn't work right.
Moving on, Nexus 6 and Nexus 9 LTE are going to get Nougat in the coming weeks. Nothing
coming.
Really, nothing really else to say about that.
Still coming.
If you have those devices, just be patient. So, major Android OEMs do not have any plans for Android Wear devices.
Yes.
This is interesting because Android Wear seems to be stagnating a little bit.
Smartwatches in general. I mean, apparently only Apple's the only one that's really selling them. I guess they said they sold I don't know how many million Apple Watches, but nobody's really committed to any numbers yet, or revealed any, and that's probably because nobody's really buying them. I guess I don't know. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It was weird because how gung ho everyone was initially. Like everyone was making an Android Wear smartwatch, and everyone was jumping on board, and it was kind of like, whoa, easy. Like it was just odd, and then I guess they didn't sell very well, so now no one's doing it this year or something. But I mean, maybe it's just one of those things that I feel like not everything you need a yearly release for, and maybe just smartwatches are one of those things. Every 2 years, maybe you can update the look or something on it. But
so the story is about specifically Huawei, LG, and Motorola. They said that they do not have any plans to release smartwatches in 2017, and those are like pretty much the main Android Wear manufacturers.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, I don't know if that has anything to do with Google, because Google's rumored to be launching 2 smartwatches later this year with the Pixel stuff. I wonder who's going to be making those. I guess if it's a Pixel smartwatch, then I guess Google's making them. But yeah, kind of weird. I really, really wanted an update to the 360. That's what I've kind of been holding out for. But I guess we're not going to see it.
I mean, keep in mind that we did see a handful of new Android Wear devices just announced at IFA the other week. I mean, Fossil's already announced they have 3 Android Wear smartwatches that since earlier this year. And I got to spend some good time with their PR guy, and initial watch is completely sold out. He didn't mention how many devices that have been sold. I mean, that was announced earlier in the year that they had sold out at retail and online. I think they're on their 3rd or 4th production run, he said. And by the sounds of it, Fossil will probably have another Android Wear smartwatch before the end of the year. So while these other players aren't gung ho about Android Wear right now, Fossil at least is interested in the platform. And we did see the new ZenWatch from ASUS announced at IFA as well. So
some people are still doing it, I guess. And it's cool to see, I guess, the actual watch manufacturers jumping on board, which is just interesting to see the mobile guys like LG and Motorola and them kind of pulling back. It's weird.
All right, so Nick, you wrote this next article, so I'll let you talk about the HTC Bolt.
Mysterious HTC Bolt. All we know so far is the name, which sounds like the HTC Thunderbolt, which was the first LTE smartphone on the market.
What a great phone that was.
Man.
I have mixed feelings about the Thunderbolt because a lot of people complained about the devices. The review unit that I got and the review unit that I kept for 1.5 years before sending it back had no issues whatsoever. I was like, this gets 6 hours of battery life. I was getting 12 hours of battery life. And
it always is going to be a sore spot in my heart because it basically, I never had the phone, but I recommended it to a friend, and it basically it turned my friend off from Android. And so now, ever since he's been an iPhone guy, and like there's nothing wrong with that, but I just feel like I failed Android by recommending that phone.
Yeah, that's funny.
So with the Bolt, no, you can finish.
Oh, no, go ahead.
With the Bolt, I mean, there's nothing known about the device so far. All we know is the name. We actually dug up the name last week and shared our article about it. We don't even know if it is a smartphone. I mean, all we know is the trademark application that was filed and granted in the US. And then today, or late last night, Evan Blass shared on Twitter that this device is heading to Sprint next month. So I'm going to assume now that we can call it a smartphone because Sprint sells smartphones. But we don't know anything else about it. I mean, it could be the Desire 10-ish phone, since HTC is going to be announcing those phones on the 20th of this month, which is in 5 days. But as good as mine at this point.
Yeah, I really think it's going to be one of the Desires that they're going to announce or whatever. That one they've been teasing for a little bit. In which case it was probably not that exciting, but
yeah. Someone in our live chat says Thunderbolt 100 to 0% battery in 60 seconds.
It's the opposite
Actually,
of
a
fast.
Thunderbolt is faster than that. 2 milliseconds. Done.
Oh,
Full
geez.
charge. It actually discharges its full battery through a lightning bolt.
It's a feature. It's fast
Yeah, I saw it
discharging.
in those commercials. That's what was happening with all the lightning.
You actually need a Thunderbolt constantly to keep the phone charged. Or a lightning bolt.
Fun days. All right, so Galaxy Note 7 we have to talk about, obviously. So we ran a poll this week because a lot of people are still using their Galaxy Note 7s. And so we ran a poll asking people, like, are you using it? Why are you using it still? And the 4 options we gave were, yes, I'm still using it, waiting for the safe one. Nope, I got a loaner, but I'm waiting for the safe one. And then another response was, yes, I'm keeping it, but I'm not worried about it. And another response was exchange it for a completely different phone. And far and away the most popular choice right now is waiting for the safe Note 7, which seems to be taking Samsung a long time.
So they turned it in, but they're waiting, or they're just waiting and holding on
They're
to their
keeping
phone?
their Note 7, waiting for the new one.
That is madness, right?
This
there.
means
That
we'll
is-
be
that is
posting a
crazy.
lot more. Note 7 explodes. Burns down.
It is madness, but
burns down
it's what I'm doing.
preschool.
I would
I
literally be
powered mine
so
off.
afraid.
Like, as long as you power it off, I think you're okay. Because isn't that what Samsung's telling people, like, power it off and stop using it?
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
they're releasing a
honestly,
software
as
update
long as you're not
because people are-
charging it.
Right.
There's a software update coming where they have the 60%. They like cap you at 60% now because I guess above that it's too much juice and the whole thing becomes unstable and it just explodes. But dang,
Yeah. There was another story about it. I mean, we've written so much about this. Like, people are actually starting to complain that we're writing too much about it. But like, things just keep happening.
Yeah,
Another vehicle
it was
caught fire.
That was weird too. Yeah, the first guy, people. I mean, there's a lot of people that are still kind of skeptical about a lot of these claims, and I think like what was it? One of them that supposedly exploded. The news reported it wrongly, and it wasn't a Note 7 after all. It was a Galaxy Core Prime. And
But at
people
that
were like,
point,
"See?"
it doesn't even matter because no one's going to look up and see if it was the Note 7. They already heard it was the Note 7, and that's all they need to hear.
They saw the headline, they saw
Well,
the
so
exploding, and they're done.
the other day there was something going around on Twitter about, and it hit Reddit as well but there was in the store, someone's purse started smoking, and it was reported as a Note 7 goes up in flames, whatever, in woman's purse. The video on YouTube, it said it was a vape battery.
Whoa.
It wasn't even a phone. It wasn't even a phone, but it got posted to Reddit as a Note 7. And so like there's so much bad reporting going on here. And like someone sent it into our newsfeed and they're like, Note 7 goes up in flames. And I watched the video. I'm like, oh, it looks okay. It looks fine. And then I look at the title of the video and it says vape battery. I'm like, Note 7, no Note 7 anywhere here. Like people are just jumping on it, and anytime anything goes up in smoke these days,
It's gonna be it's the Note 7. Whether
Someone
it's
in our chat says, keep in mind this may be people's only phone. You can actually exchange it for a loaner, and then
they will give you another
Note
phone,
7. Right. So if
or
you
a full refund.
Yep, or a full refund too. So there are options if that's your only phone. But yeah, what you're saying, Nick,
zero excuse to keep using this phone. Zero excuse. You walk into the store, they will give you all of your money back or a different phone. Your choice.
Yeah.
Take the risk.
So going off what you were saying about that battery, like this is, people complaining that we're writing too much about it on Fandroid. This is a bigger deal than I think a lot of people want to admit. Like I heard a story today that someone reported that their Samsung 7 caught on fire. Like they didn't even say Note 7. Like Samsung is going to have to earn people's trust back, and they might even have to like change the name of these phones because like Note is going to become synonymous with exploding phones. Like they might not even be able to use that name anymore. Or
I think it's more
even Galaxy.
I think we reported a story today about a university that banned the use of the phone on their campus, and it actually went along with a news broadcast about the story. And within there, they interviewed a couple people, and I believe in 2 different places they were interviewing students, and the students called it the S7.
There you
know anybody that has the S7, and so like there's so much bad information out there. Like I think they know it's a Samsung. I think they know it's a 7. They don't know if it's the Note 7 or the Edge 7 or just the S7. It's a Samsung and it's bad. But someone's got to do the right reporting, and hopefully, if we keep sharing the right information, we can inform people to do the right thing, which is get the phone.
Well, I mean, that's definitely true. I think people who are in the know that it's the Note 7. But like going past this phone, I think this could have some lasting impacts because Samsung's branding could almost come back to bite them. How many people do you know that just refer to it as a Galaxy? Like, oh, I have a Galaxy.
Yeah, and Galaxy what? Like Galaxy Core
That's
Prime?
like pretty ubiquitous branding, and like that's a good thing, but it could become a bad thing now if like people just equate Galaxy with phones that explode.
Yeah, this is the worst possible thing I think that could have ever happened to Samsung. I mean, they were like literally the best-selling smartphone Android brand. I mean, they were like riding high, like nobody could even touch them, and now this just came, and it was like, this is so bad. Like I don't think people understand. It's awful. I mean, if you have an S7 anything, you're going to stress out. You're going to stress out about it. Like if some soccer mom, with 5 kids, and she's like, "Wait a minute, I have a S7 Edge. It's a Samsung phone. Does that mean mine's going to blow up
is this
too?"
The
like
one?
they're going to.
Yeah, I think to put things into perspective, I think Samsung said it's going to cost them like $1.5 to $2 billion to deal with this issue to get new phones out to everybody. I mean, we reported that a while ago, but over the weekend, market capitalization of Samsung stock dropped $19 billion.
Oh my.
Yeah,
with Friday's trading and Monday's trading.
That's
not good. And it's hard to say how fast Samsung can recover from that, if it's just a short-term dip or if it's going to, carry on for a while. But I mean, Samsung sells stock so that it can get money to build stuff. And if their stock is worth $19 billion less, they have to sell a lot more stock. It just devalues the company as a whole because of this darn issue.
Yeah. Then there's rumors that they're going to try to push the S8, out a little bit earlier. But I mean, I think we hear that every year too. But to kind of, it's really bad for Samsung right now.
Yep. At least they're big enough that they can probably like take this and still exist. Like if this would have happened to maybe HTC,
done.
They'd be done. I mean,
Game over.
I mean, people are saying that, this is just one of those things. People move on, they forget things really quickly, and a few months from now, no one's going to even be thinking about this or whatever. But I think, like Joe said, like they really do have to maybe just hurry up and move on. Like just don't even release another Note 7 or what. Like they should just, we made a new Note. This is the Note 8, and it's the battery is 20 times safer.
Yeah, I
think
think. From an image standpoint, every review that comes out next year, you know what the opening line is going to be? Hopefully it doesn't blow up.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Yes, the consumers are going to forget about it within 6 months, but then everyone's going to be reminded the next time it comes out.
It's a meme now.
Everyone's going to.
You don't want it to be a meme.
Is it going to be safe? Is it going to be like last year's model? And we're going to remind everybody of it within 12 months. So,
yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Sorry, Samsung.
Well, there was I wrote earlier this week that apparently they're going to try to rush out the Galaxy S8 to kind of like wash the bad taste out of everyone's mouth and change the conversation. That was a rumor. Don't know how much validity there is to it, but that would make sense. I mean, let's just get a new phone out there. See if we can get people stop talking about this. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, but I mean, the way their manufacturing processes go and the development time, push something up, they can maybe push something up by a week or two. I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of components and people and schedules and
Yeah.
so much going on that these things are planned 12 months, 18 months in advance. It's really hard to move those schedules. If anything, schedules get moved back, they never get moved forward.
And do we want them to rush out a product? I mean,
No.
they did just release a phone that explodes.
For 2 weeks to test that battery.
That's what people are saying. Like, maybe they should take a little more time on this one. I feel more confident if it took them an extra month or two.
All right. So Throwback Thursday for this week. We're going to talk about Flash. Do you guys remember when phones could watch Flash videos and interact with things in Flash?
That was Android's big thing. That's why everyone loved Android. It was just like, this is why it's so much superior than iOS.
I remember before Flash was supported. It wasn't originally supported.
No, it wasn't. I remember when
HTC was the first one to bring it with the HTC Hero.
That's true. That is true. That's why everyone wanted those damn ROMs, is because it supported Flash.
It's a huge selling point.
They supported Flash, yes.
Yeah, and Apple, of
those
course. It's all right. There's a little bit of lag. Keep interrupting Nick. Apple was the one that was just like, we're not going to support Flash. We're going to make Flash die. And they pretty much did. Like, even on the web, Flash is kind of gone now.
Yeah, almost entirely. A few ads have it, and I feel like that's almost about it. But
I actually just got a little pop-up screen on my browser about 15 minutes ago saying Flash has just crashed.
Wow.
That's all it ever does. That's all it ever did.
That's all it ever does.
I don't think I even have Flash installed on my computer.
Oh my gosh.
Because when you do, it just like reminds you to be updated every single day. It's just incredibly annoying.
Back then, that was the only way. Like, every video online was Flash, and that was the only way to like watch anything. If you wanted to watch YouTube videos, they were Flash, and it was just that was the format. You needed it, and yeah, for like Apple.
Fortunately, we've come a long way since then.
Yes.
There's so many web programming languages available that are so and media friendly that Flash can die a miserable death.
Yep. HTML5.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
And that, like, I think we kind of mentioned that last week. You know, Apple likes to let things die with, like, the headphone jack was the conversation. And I don't think you can equate this because HTML5 was already around and was obviously way better. So it was just an obvious choice. Like, didn't really even need Apple to make that choice. Like, it was already the obvious choice.
But I mean, even then, there was so many people.
Let's be honest. The only reason the iPhone didn't support it was because it couldn't.
Right.
They went on their grandstand to run it.
Yeah, they went on their grandstand, and you know, basically they were saying courage, but they didn't say courage back then.
Exactly.
Courage. Gotta have courage. All right. So let's do some wins and fails of the week. Nick, as our guest, we'll let you go first.
So I've heard your guys' wins and fails a handful of times, but first. So I'm going to start off with my wins, and I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. IFA 2016 is going to be my win. I went about a week and a half ago now and got back. I've been to pretty much every major Android-related trade show that there is. I've been to CES, I've been to Mobile World Congress, I've been to Google I/O, I've been to CTIA when that used to be a thing. And IFA was kind of the last major one on my list that I hadn't attended. And I'm happy to say that I've attended. I survived. I'm alive. Earlier, I love Berlin. Berlin, if you haven't been, you want to go. It is amazing. The Germans know how to plan everything to a T. Their cities are great. It is clean. There's 1,001 restaurants. People are nice and polite. Everyone speaks English as well.
Oh.
But the trade show itself was the worst trade show I have ever been to. The worst by far. I'm sure everyone's been to IKEA once or twice.
Oh, yeah.
And you're familiar with their convoluted floor plans, which make you walk through everything, right? But they have these things called shortcuts where you can skip things. You can go to Secret Alley and skip from one section to the other without having to walk through 75 things that you don't want to see. Halls at IFA are set up like an IKEA floor plan where they zigzag you through, like it's not just an open hall. There's a handful that are just open halls, but then you get into these sub halls that they zigzag you through, and there are no IKEA shortcuts.
No.
You walk through accessory hell for like 3 miles, and you have to get to the other side of this hall because all the halls are interconnected, and you have to walk through 6 halls to get to the one that you want to. Oh my gosh, I wanted to die.
That sounds terrible.
So,
it's like if you had to walk through what's that accessory hall at CES? Like if you have to walk through that every time to get to the main ones.
Worse. It's worse. I honestly tell you, it's worse because IFA is it's more like CES than anything else. It's just a general consumer trade show, but the public is allowed in. So you have like 12-year-olds walking around. But then like everybody and their mom shows up to say, hey, we're selling something. So I wandered into the section that was, but nobody knows our brand. Here's 15 ovens and they're ugly. Like, why are you even here? No one wants to see your crap. But IFA is a win for me because it was the last one on my list. I enjoyed my time there. I got to spend some quality time with a lot of people I know in the industry. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully going back next year.
Cool.
Me too.
My fail is the news story that I wrote yesterday, I believe. The rumor that Samsung is at its own proprietary headphone jack solution.
Ew.
I mean, if that doesn't have fail written all over it, I don't know what does.
Yeah, that's a giant thanks, Apple.
It sounds like something Samsung would take a risk at, maybe prior to the whole Note 7 stuff, but now I feel like they're just like,
That's a good point.
I don't think we can risk another failed something, so maybe we won't go with this idea after all.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that like no one's really happy with, ditching the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack in favor of USB Type-C audio. Standpoint, there's no difference between the two. USB Type-C is technically better than 3.5 millimeter headphone. There's the question of prices of the headphones going up or down based off of where the DAC is. Is it in the phone? Is it in the headphones? There's a lot of questions there, and it's going to take a couple of years to figure out what that actually looks like. But for Samsung to say, you know what, there's this 3.5 millimeter headphone jack standard, and then everyone's moving to USB Type-C. Screw all of you. We're going to do our own.
Which is exactly what Apple did.
Mm-hmm.
They said screw everyone, and they did their own.
No, but they've had their Lightning connection for a handful of years now, and there have had Lightning made.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing it for a long time. Does that make it any better, though?
No, but the difference is Samsung is part of this larger ecosystem of Android, and Android manufacturers have kind of come to the realization of we're better together. And Samsung's starting to say, you know what, screw all of you. We're big enough that we can do our own thing. it hurts the consumers, but it also hurts the manufacturers because now they would have to choose. Do we still make 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks? Well, there's the iPhones. We have to make those same headphones with the iPhone connection, and then we need one with the USB Type-C connection. And now Samsung's throwing another one into the mix. They have to produce 4 of the same thing just with different plugs.
Yeah, it's horrible.
A lot of these accessory makers, they're small, and yes, they make decent profit margins off of their headphone jacks, or their headphones, but they're just going to lose money trying to conform to everyone's new standard, if you can even call it that.
Yeah, I'm writing actually like an editorial right now about that, and it's definitely a fail in my eyes. All right, my wins and fails. My win is going to be the LG G5. So I have the Note 7, and I just recently decided I was not going to keep tempting fate, so I powered it off and switched to another one of my phones laying around, which is the G5. And I like it a lot more than I did the last time I used it for some reason.
What? What's going on?
Yeah, because like when I reviewed it, I don't know, this was a while ago now. I had just come from the Galaxy S7 Edge, and I liked the Edge a lot more than the G5, so I was a little hard on the G5, even though like my rating that I gave it in the review wasn't very bad at all. It was a really good rating, but I just wasn't that jazzed about it.
That impressed.
But yeah, now I'm using it, and I don't know if it's because I came from a giant phone, but like I'm loving the size. I'm loving the feel of it. Like it's fast. It has the camera is really good, which it was before. I said that before too. It is a good camera. But I don't know. I just like it. It's a good size. I think it's mainly just coming from a giant phone that I'm just like, this is the size that phone should be.
Yeah. I definitely hear you there. That's how I feel like with the Honor 8 right now. Coming from that V20, like I was forcing myself to use that stupid big phone. It's so huge. And then moving to something more reasonably sized, it just feels good. You're just like, yes. I can relax.
Because my HTC 10 is being repaired right now. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But hey, maybe I'll stick with the G5.
I actually kind of want a G5 now after the V20. I'm like, man, if a G5 is just a tinier V20, then maybe I should just like find one on Craigslist for on the cheap. But yeah, we'll see.
Bet you could get one pretty cheap right now.
Yeah, there's a guy like a block away from me selling it for $350, and I'm trying to talk him down to $300, and we'll see if he ends up biting.
I won't spend much time on my fail because we already talked about it, but just the fact that Samsung can't get replacement Note 7s out fast enough. Like I mentioned last week, I called Best Buy and they were just like, well, we don't really have them. We don't know we're going to have them. And people are holding on to these phones that are dangerous and using them when they shouldn't be because of this. So hurry up, Samsung.
Move your ass. All right. My wins and fails. Actually, I have 2 fails, and they're kind of big, but I'll just go with my win, and that is the Pokemon Go Pokemon Go will eventually support Android Wear. This was revealed during TechCrunch TC Disrupt that they had. Like they had this little event in San Francisco that they do, and on stage, John Hanke, the CEO of Niantic, who makes Pokemon Go, he said that yes, like. It's basically, yes, we're going to support Android Wear at some point in the future, but they're just kind of waiting for, it sounded like he was saying they're waiting for new devices. I don't know if that's because they're waiting for some new Android Wear watches with like GPS built in or what. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it's going to work the same way that Apple Watch does with Pokemon Go, or will with Pokemon Go in the future. So that's my win. Super excited about that. My fail for the week is going to be the screen protector that I bought for the LG V20. So apparently some screen protector manufacturers, usually when I get a new phone, I always put a glass screen protector on it because I hate the plastic film and the way it gets all smudgy with your oils, and glass just feels nicer. But the LG V20, the glass curves down on the top and bottom ever so gently. So the screen protector that I bought didn't anticipate this or didn't prepare properly. So when you put it on perfectly, there's just like all this like air on the bottom. It doesn't properly adhere on the top or bottom, and it's incredibly disgusting, and it's just a really big fail.
Chris posted a picture on Twitter if you want to see what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I'm also putting it in my first things for the LG V22 is just don't buy or be careful when you buy these glass screen protectors. There are some that chop it off a lot sooner down here at the bottom. This one kind of covers the LG logo a little bit. You would need to go above the LG logo, which I've seen some that have. And there's also some that don't protect the second screen. And those are the ones you want because those will be completely flat and they'll look fine on it. But the ones that cover the second screen, that's where the curve starts happening. So don't get those, and don't get it if it's covering the LG logo. You want it a little bit above. So I guess that's my fail. There's also another fail, but I guess it's iOS related or iPhone related, so we won't really talk about that one. So.
Chris, you're kind of becoming a screen protector expert. I feel like every week like every week it's a new story about a screen protector.
Oh man, yeah. It's my thing.
All right, let's recommend some apps. What do you got, Nick?
I have a new app. I actually posted a video on this earlier today on the Fandroid YouTube channel. It is called Moviz. It is a music visualizer that shows the music visualization in your nav bar or right above the nav bar. And doesn't matter which app you're in, as long as you're playing music in the background, it will have a little visualizer showing at the bottom.
It's very cool.
I haven't tried it, but it looks neat.
I want to hit play on some music now if my volume's all the way down to show you guys if that'll work, but we'll see.
I'm guessing it's like a little overlay, I guess, over the navigation bar or something.
Yeah. It's an overlay over the navigation bar or right above it, depending. You can choose either or, depending on what type of device. So I have the HTC 10, which doesn't have the nav bar since it has capacitive buttons. And I have it set up so that it shows right above. And of course, now my phone is not working, so I can't show you. So,
well, if you want to see it, watch Nick's video.
Yeah,
go to youtube.com/Fandroid and you can watch it there.
The very channel you're watching this podcast on.
Oh yeah, that.
All right, my app pick is going to be called Energy Bar. This is an app that lets you put your battery bar across the very top of your screen as like a really thin line, or you can have it take up your entire status bar and like a background. So you can have it show up as like a green line across the top, and as it gets lower, it can change color to like orange and red. You could have it be a different color. You could have it be the thickness of your status bar, so that like your entire status bar is a green bar, and then throughout the day it kind of gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Just a way to visualize how much battery you have left. But the cool thing is you don't need like root or anything like that to do this. It just works. And yeah, I guess if you don't like to see like the percentage in your status bar, like the number, like I always turn that off just because it takes up space.
Yeah, it does.
So that's a way you could like get a little bit more detail about how much battery you have left. So it's called Energy Bar. Check it out. It's free.
Energy Bar. Okay. My app pick for the week is going to be an app called Screen Balance. So recently I've gone back. I've been dabbling with the S7 Edge again, just to kind of play around with it. But the one thing that's been like bothering me after experiencing like the LG V20 or the Honor 8 or even like the iPhone, which they all have LCD displays, the color balance or white balance on all those phones are just extremely white, kind of bluish, awesome looking. And then moving to something like AMOLED, it's so horrible because I feel like I'm viewing like that nighttime mode feature or something. Like the whites are just super yellow, and it just really frustrates me when I'm looking at photos, and it's not the correct white balance, or it's just the display is just way too warm, and it bothers me. So there's an app called Screen Balance that allows you to put Basically, it's an overlay over the entire screen of your phone, and you can change and tune the hue of the display and kind of tweak it so that it looks a lot better. So on the Galaxy S7, it has completely changed. I mean, it looks so good now. I just want to cry because you got the bright colors, and then the lights aren't so yellow anymore, and it looks so freaking amazing. And the app actually has a pretty cool feature because usually when you use overlays, you can't use apps like Android Pay. Sometimes when something pops up and asks you for permission, but on some of these other apps like Twilight, it'll say screen overlay detected, please remove that and try again, and you got to do it all over. You got to turn off the app, and it's so annoying. But this app has some sort of weird auto off feature. Maybe it's a Samsung thing, but it'll turn off, disable it just while you're picking your permissions and whatever, and then it automatically puts it back on again. So it's great. If you have a Nexus 6P, which has an even more yellowish display than even the Galaxy phone, I would say get it for the 6P, or Samsung Galaxy S7, S7 Edge, Note, whenever those come back in stock. Anything with AMOLED, this really just makes the display, the display look so much cooler and nicer. So yeah, Screen Balance on the Google Play Store. It's free, and a really, really old app, but it's there.
Cool. We got one email this week. This is from Beast, and the title of this email is Apple AirPods from a Samsung Night.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, I've tried a variety of wired and wireless Bluetooth headphones. The true wireless stereo Bluetooth is extremely expensive. Most cost $250 and up. And the best battery life out there is under 3 hours. Apple's entry starts at $160 and has a 5-hour battery life with an additional 24-hour with the case. If it delivers on its promise, this is going to be the Bluetooth wireless headset to beat. However, will I reconcile my S7 phone jamming out with Apple EarPods? Have any of y'all tried true wireless stereo Bluetooth? Thoughts? Thanks for the awesome podcast. My weekend starts with y'all. Thanks, Beast. So have any of us tried true wireless Bluetooth earpods? I have not.
Earbuds, I have not. I've been looking at them, but I'm so scared to invest because they're expensive, and I don't want to get stuck with something that sounds kind of subpar. So I've just been holding off pretty much for now.
I have. I've tried the Motorola ones, and I'm not even sure if they're actually available yet. They launched a new brand for them. They're like orange and black. All their new Bluetooth accessories are that color. They're decent. I'm not sure what battery life is like. I was able to test them out for 20 to 30 minutes. The issue you're always going to run into is, for me, you're going to lose them. Is no matter what, we have a case for them, and no one uses their case. People take them out of their ears, they set them on their desk, they put them in their bag, and before you know it, one of them's gone, and you're going to be so mad that you spent $100 plus. And the $160 for the AirPods sounds ridiculous, but for a product in this category, it's not too bad. I would actually recommend you never spend less than $100 because it's not going to be good quality.
Sure.
I mean, just for regular, even connected Bluetooth headphones, I have these new Samsung level headphones that I got at IFA. And those are close to $100, I believe. But their audio quality isn't great, and the battery life is subpar compared to some of the other ones that I've used. So if you want good battery life and want good audio, you're going to have to at least spend $100. And you have to keep in mind, this is not a day-to-day connected headphones with a crappy, copper cable that you just stick in your ears. There's some serious technology that goes into this, and the more you pay, the better you're going to get.
Yeah.
So you're saying that Apple Pods would be a good pick then?
Well, not necessarily a good pick, but I'm not surprised at the price. I haven't used them, so I don't know what the quality is. But I mean, considering it's Apple and they overcharge for everything, $160 for something from Apple doesn't seem too outrageous.
Yeah, I actually did read an article. I think someone was like, $160 is actually a really fair price for these.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it was anyone else selling the exact same product, I would say it would be 120.
True,
Yeah.
which actually isn't that normal Apple markup, so that's actually pretty good coming from Apple.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, we are over an hour, so I think that's going to do it for this week. If you'd like to send us emails, you can do that with our address podcast@fandroid.com. You can also hit us up on Twitter. We're at Mobile Roarcast, one word. We read tweets from there also. If you want to subscribe to the audio version of the podcast, that is available on Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and whatever your favorite podcast app would be. Nick, where can people follow you?
You can follow my work on fandroid.com, of course, but if you want to hit me up on Twitter, I am at Nick M. Gray.
Okay. And Chris is at GamerCore. Ashley is at Overlord Roar when she's around. Hopefully she'll be back next week. And I am at Tall Shmo, and we will see you guys next week. Later.